Expansion season is here. EverQuest launches its 30th expansion, Laurion Song, while EverQuest II hits 20 expansions with the arrival of Ballads of Zimara. We have full reviews of the expansions for both games in this expansion episode of the EverQuest Show.
Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah. Celebrate life, get excited about good times, good living, come on, shout it out. Hey! Take it up, take it over, take it out of control. Today I'm freeing my soul and now you got me singing, oh, hey!
Welcome to the EverQuest Show. I'm Fading here in the EverQuest Show studios, and there is so much to celebrate in the EverQuest franchise with the arrival of Laurion Song for EverQuest and Ballads of Zimara for EverQuest II. Both games now have a combined 50 expansions available. If you're new to the EverQuest Show, be sure to click subscribe for the latest episodes and news updates. And 2024 promises to be a huge year for the franchise, and there's a lot of EverQuest Show content coming your way. While you watch our review, feel free to leave your own comment below with something that you may have seen that piqued your interest, or if you've already played the expansion, feel free to leave your review below. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started by heading to the realm of heroes in Laurion Song. It's hard to believe that nearly 25 years after launch, the game that started it all is launching its 30th expansion. It's been a long and exciting road. We've been to the moon and back, to distant worlds, to the plains, but now it's time to dive deep into the heroic tales of Norath's past as EverQuest introduces Laurion Song. The main features of the expansion are its level cap increase to 125, along with the associated spells, AAs, combat abilities, as well as 7 new zones. And though the zones are completely new, they have their roots in familiar places and the lore of Norath's past. In fact, the entire expansion is a lore lover's dream called the Realm of Heroes. In a similar fashion to the way Seeds of Destruction went back to various important storylines in EverQuest, this expansion takes you to pivotal defining moments in Norath's past. Each zone can be thought of as a snow globe, an important memory of Norath's history. Now, as adventurers, it's our job to piece together exactly why we're doing this, and it does all tie together quite nicely. No spoilers here, though. You'll begin in Laurion Inn, a sort of traveler's lodge for Norathians in the Realm of Heroes, with various doors inside that lead to other snow globe zones. You can think of it as the hub of the expansion, with many of the merchants and quest givers there to provide you with plenty to do. But once you're outside the inn, the zone itself is quite a hunting area. Wide open spaces and plenty of room are quite the difference from being inside Lucklin or in the lunar darkness of the past few expansions. There are a wide variety of mob types and archetypes for whatever your specific heart or class playstyle desires: animals, elementals, undead, and even some summoned. And the expansion is a feast for the eyes. Not only are there a huge number of new EverQuest NPC models in the game, like chickens, deer, foxes, and badgers, just to name a few, but the zones are beautiful as well. In Pauloman, an ancient elder elven village of the past, the scenery doesn't disappoint. The Laurion trees, for which the expansion draws its name, are visually beautiful, and the style of the Eldar village is unique, but subtly hints at the Eldar elves' distant future as wood elves in Greater Fadark. Here, the Relosian armies are set to attack. But these are the Relosians of the past, intelligent ogres, goblins, and orcs that possessed magic and strength before the curse that left them in their present state. And much of the expansion gives you snapshots of these Relosians and the events that shaped Norath due to their invasions. In the Unkempt Woods, for example, it's long been a legendary place labeled on maps since the beginning of EverQuest, but in this expansion you'll learn the tale of what happened here, as the Eldar elves sought refuge from the Relosians and allied with the dwarves in what shaped Fador into what we know today. Again, no spoilers here, but you probably know this dwarf's name. And the Relosian theme continues in Enkexven Keep, but this time a focus on a goblin stronghold in the frozen north near what would become Hallis. And you'll find familiar areas here as well. We've been here before, or perhaps we will be here in the future. The goblins built an imposing stronghold here, complete with statues to Ralph Zek. These ornate buildings are in contrast to the primitive structures in current-day Norath. These are the goblins before the Relosian curse. Their stronghold houses a prison where the captives of the Relosian War are taken. Over on the ogre side of things, we find the Moors of Nock. The ancient city of Nock is something we've heard before, as any adventurer in Crescent Reach can tell you. The relics of that forgotten city are all around. Well, in Laurion's song, you'll learn about the city of Nock, the moors that surround the city, which will become Blightfire Moors. But these ogres are enlightened and intelligent, and though this serves as the heart of the Relosian ogres, not all agree with the cruel ogre way of life. If all this Relosian talk has you searching for a serene walk by a river, well, look no further than Timorous Falls, a beautiful mill on the banks of a river complete with a rainbow in the midst of the falls. But of course, not all is as it seems. Even though Eureka's Tumble is a joyous place to grab a pint, you'll discover sinister plots as you adventure around the tavern. Finally, in Heroes Forge, you'll delight in a giant forge used to create weapons for the heroes of Norrath. Nestled in a mountain wilderness, the forge is a place where magical beings create the powerful equipment of Norrath, and phoenixes take them to the top of the mountain to be whisked away to Norrath. Here, you'll discover why the Realm of Heroes was lost and eventually rediscovered. Overall, there is a good amount of content for this expansion. In beta, I talked to many players of all styles, and they all seem pleased by the content, adding that there is certainly lots to do for all play styles, from groupers to raiders of different tiers. If you're a fan of the story and lore of Norrath, you'll give this expansion a 10 out of 10 for sure, and the art style of the expansion certainly makes it beautiful to play in. The wide variety of new models in the expansion is a bit of a surprise, and it drives home that this is a part or a time of Norrath that we haven't seen before. But now to the big question mark in the expansion. The announcement of the expansion touted alternate personas. The development process and beta testing has been fraught with bugs and problems, and as of this edit, issues were still arising. However, I did play with this feature on beta, and I really liked it. It's essentially creating different classes with your character's name, but you maintain your name, your flags, your trade skills, and other unique defining character traits. The way it seems to be implemented doesn't seem to be any different than creating a new character, which isn't game-breaking, but the fact that you retain your name and can play as different classes is a nice feature. However, I hesitate to comment on it further because this feature is still in development, and as of this story, it may change before it's implemented fully. Laurion's song has plenty going for it, including the art style and the lore for the 30th expansion for EverQuest. And not to be left out, the score for the expansion is quite nice as well. The music certainly fits the mood of the expansion, especially in Laurion Inn. And I enjoyed the ditties that nicely blended into the background, without becoming repetitive or numbing. Now, there are still some questions about alternate personas that will need to be worked out, and there is a decent amount of content, though it is sparse in some areas, like the group missions. However, it does allow for easy-to-implement additions of content, seeing that Laurion Inn has plenty of doors that are unused. Perhaps we'll see more for future expansions or for events. Altogether, it's a satisfying expansion to be released nearly 25 years after the launch of the original game. And not to be outdone by EverQuest's milestone 30th expansion, EverQuest II is launching Ballads of Zimara, the 20th expansion for the franchise sequel. It's one of the most aesthetically beautiful expansions in a decade. That's how one player described their thoughts on Ballads of Zimara to me in beta. And I have to say, I agree wholeheartedly. It is absolutely stunning. But let's start with what you get with the expansion. EverQuest II's milestone 20th expansion, Ballads of Zimara, is now available, and from the key art to the depths of the expansion, it took my breath away. There are 4 new gorgeous zones, each more beautiful than the last, along with adventure and trade skill level increases to 130. There are several new features, including advanced research, chrono dungeons, and those small, surprisingly helpful, and player-approved player notes in the quest journal. A full signature line of quests is available for the expansion, which was quite enjoyable to work through, even though I didn't get a chance to finish it in beta. But perhaps one of the bigger changes is in the trade skill line of quests. The trade skill line was much shorter compared to previous expansions like Renewal of Row, and unlocked flying and the other zones much more quickly. Even as a relative noob to EverQuest II, I was able to complete the trade skill line relatively quickly, providing me access to flying and all the zones in the expansion. This really made the expansion fun for me. Most of the players agree this was a nice change and makes Ballads of Zimara much more accessible early on than, say, Renewal of Row was for players. And I have to admit, I really enjoyed playing in the expansion. Being mainly an EverQuest player, sometimes I find it difficult for EverQuest II to hold my attention for a significant amount of time or have me wanting to go in for more, but this expansion did that in a way that I hadn't experienced before with EverQuest II, and I loved it. I'm craving exploring and playing more. So what about the story in the expansion? What's happening? Well, it begins with the Huluk. Who? Yes, the Huluk. They're a race of sentient owl people who can use your help. It seems sections of the plane of sky have become unstable and are slipping into the upper atmosphere of Norath. This includes the home of the Huluk in Splendor Sky Airy. Though you'll need to start in the barren sky to get access, essentially Splendor Sky Airy is the starting zone, and from the moment you step foot in the zone, the scenery takes your breath away. Beautiful palettes of greens and pinks and a wide variety of flora and fauna greet you in Splendor Sky. Your adventures take you through assisting the Huluk, gaining their trust, and finding out what's happening with the plane and the mysterious metallic djinn that have started to appear. A significant portion of the zone is essentially one giant tree and sanctuary that is the home of the Huluk. You'll spend a good bit of time questing around Sanctuary and going up and down that tree before you unlock flying, which, given an expansion full of islands in the sky, you'll be thankful when you do. From its colorful leaves of the Huluk's home of Sanctuary to the waterfalls within and the hills of native critters that abound, you'll get a good handle of where the story is headed as you work your way through Splendor Sky Airy. One of the critical tasks when you arrive is upgrading your armor, mount, and familiar so that you can handle the dangers of this expansion. This has been a hallmark of the past several expansions, and thankfully a beginning quest walks you through how to do this using Titian's lockbox and make sure you have the proper mount and familiar buffs on. As an EQ2 noob, I found this extremely helpful and probably the first place you should start once you venture into Splendor Sky. Adjacent to Splendor Sky is the second zone in the expansion, Zimara Breadth, an expansive collection of sky islands that contrast from barren and exposed to secluded and serene. Here, the plane of sky is literally deteriorating and the djinn are on the move, along with their armies to control the plane. Again, you'll find beautiful scenery with each of the islands providing a slightly different look and feel as you explore and unlock the story of what is happening. And just when you thought you'd seen all the beautiful touches put into the expansion, you arrive in Aether Rotlands. As I traveled around this zone, all I could say is wow, it is absolutely breathtaking. Each section of the zone has identified a signature color palette, and it makes for incredible views with hidden pockets of creatures, amber light pouring through trees into pools of metallic tangerine liquid. Spires of copper and emerald reach upwards and create unique verdant structures. Violet and violence converge as purple lightning cascades through amethyst lakes and waterfalls. And among this beautiful landscape, you'll find a lightning dragon pacing upon a perch. But don't get too close. Colorful rivers run through a monochromatic landscape populated with dangerous beasts to match until you traverse the boundary of the next palette of scenery, only to delight you again. Look, this is by far my favorite zone in the expansion, and the mix of vibrant colors make one zone feel like a dozen different zones. It's reminiscent of Deep Shade in EverQuest I with its colorful pockets of hues and tones in different sections of the zone. But the visual feast doesn't stop when you enter the final zone of the expansion and home of the djinn sovereign called Vashkani. It is the stronghold of the djinn and their leader, and it too is a sight to behold. From the opulent rooms to the beautiful details, you'll find yourself taking a break from finishing your quest to admire the attention to detail that went into each room in the zone. The colorful, prismatic, and kaleidoscopic nature of the zone is in contrast to the serene ponds that contain a variety of waterfowl that you'll find relaxing and unconcerned with your arrival. A juxtaposition of dangerous foes made of metal with calming ponds and the quacking of ducks. Another gorgeous set of views to admire. And it's not just my opinion that the expansion is beautiful. Player after player that I asked said they enjoyed the expansion, but that the artwork was hands down some of the best they'd seen. In addition to the content within those 4 zones, Ballads of Zimara also contains chrono dungeons. It allows previous old world dungeons to be upgraded to level 130 content so that players can experience those older areas with renewed challenge. Now, admittedly, I didn't get a chance to experience this feature, but EverQuest and EverQuest II players are suckers for nostalgia and replaying content. I also didn't get a chance to explore the advanced research option, also touted for this expansion, so I'm unable to comment on the details of how those work. Finally, while I know many don't play with music or sound on, I generally enjoy hearing the ambiance that comes along with each zone and the area within. The score for Ballads of Zimara is a subtle score that enhances the visual feast. There were a few notable standouts where the music set the tone for sure, especially in some of the more serene nooks and crannies of the expansion. So overall, to mark the 20th expansion for EverQuest II, the development team and players should really be proud of Ballads of Zimara. The beauty and artistic flair put into the details of the zones is certainly one of its defining characteristics and the source of glowing reviews from players. Will the content be enough to hold EverQuest II players until expansion number 21 comes out? Time will tell. But I certainly love what I've seen so far, and it did exactly what I think the 20th expansion for EverQuest II needs to do: entice players current, former, and new to the game with stunning visuals and provide an enjoyable playing experience that makes you want to keep playing and see what the next quest unlocks.
Congratulations to the team at Darkpaw, and a big thank you from the players and from the EverQuest Show on shipping 2 amazing expansions.
And speaking of that beautiful art from Ballads of Zimara, you can now find items in the swag store from the latest expansion. Mousepad game mats as well as posters for Ballads of Zimara are available in the swag store, and though there isn't much EverQuest 1 swag there just yet, stay tuned for items to appear as we approach the 25th anniversary of EverQuest in March of 2024.
And as that 25th anniversary approaches, the EverQuest Show is ramping way up. We have even more episodes, even bigger interviews, stories, countdowns, and news updates. Okay, so now it's your turn. I want you to comment below with what you think of the latest expansions. If you've played them, leave a review. If you haven't, comment on what you've seen in this video. As always, thank you for continuing to support the channel. Subscribe, like, and share this video if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in NORAD.
We gotta be the best we can be. And though sometimes we don't want to, still we gotta chase our dreams. Reach up and reach high, because we're gonna pull through and give it all we got, even though it can seem hard to catch and make it happen. But we can't start sliding, come on, and do what you gotta do to fight on. And so no matter what comes your way, nothing can ruin your daily